Hey friends, my name is Jake. Welcome to Canadian Cutting Edge, and today we're taking a look at a slip joint by TwoSun. It has natural materials for the handle. You've got the choice of wood, horn, bone, several different natural materials. S90V or their Damascus with a quote, pattern welded steel from TwoSun knives. It's got a half stop. It's got a nice little hole there for opening instead of a nail nick, which I really like. A little bit of a lanyard comes with it. Let's take a closer look. There you go. Take a look at that. Yes, I have sharpened it already because I used it for my testing, and then when I measured the grind angles, I decided I was going to leave it in the clamps right away and just sharpen it right while I was there and find out how soft it really was, because in my testing, I thought I learned something, and so I wanted to find out. So I'm going to cover all of that later on in the video, but I learned something about an hour ago that it sort of floored me, and I really, really want the sibling to this knife. There is a very modern version of this knife. Oh, by the way, Rattlesnake Design works with TwoSun knives. The very modern one is a integrated titanium handle with a pocket clip and M390 steel. I've never heard of an integrated slip joint before. I'm sure they exist, but wow. Even White Mountain Knives has the listing for the integrated, and the listing for like 4 of these, except for not this exact one, even though I got this from him. You can get the Snakewood with S90V, but he doesn't have the listing for the Snakewood with the Damascus anymore. All of them are out of stock at the moment. The cheapest one is $59.99. Most of these are $69.99, and the titanium modern take on it is $122.99. Yeah, it's out of my range, but I want it. I really, really want it. After experiencing this and how the shape performs, how well it cuts and stuff, and being a bit of a slip joint fan, and especially I'm liking modern takes on traditional slip joints, I really want that knife. If you know of anybody who has it and wants to sell it, hook them up with me, will you? CanadianCuttingEdge@gmail.com. I would really, really like to get my hands on those. I don't have enough money to spend over retail, but I really want to get my hands on it. So, if you want to find out more about this knife, stick around. We're going to get to the tabletop and take a good close look at the TS246. A year ago this week, I reviewed this knife, the FANGTOOTH by TwoSun. It's a little bit larger, and I had the shredded carbon fiber. I found out since then you can get them in micarta as well. This has got the S90V that most of TwoSun slip joints have, and I really like this knife. It's a really good size, and I've been carrying it and using it quite a lot. I do, to be totally honest, I like this better than this one. Let me zoom back out a little bit. For a couple of reasons. One is it's larger, and it's a little more modern kind of take on it. And I'm going to have to tell you, I don't really like the Damascus by TwoSun. They don't tell us what steel they use on this pattern welded steel, Damascus in quotes, because it's not original Damascus style. It's pattern welded, 2 different types of steel in lots of layers, and that's what gives us the pattern. It's fairly soft. It's sort of in between an 8CR13 and a 9CR18. It's sort of like in between those 2 types of steels in terms of its edge retention and performance and workability, all that kind of stuff. So it's not a terrible one, and at the price that I paid for this, which was that $69.99 at White Mountain Knives, I'm okay with that, but I really do prefer this. You can get the same knife with S90V, and that's got better edge retention, better durability, just a better performing kind of steel. So yeah, TwoSun does do some nice knives in modern kind of styles. I really like the modern slip joint, but I wanted to see this guy anyways. This one's snakewood. This is a wood that sort of looks like a snake skin, I guess. Let me see if I can get the light to hit it. There you go. Like that, you can sort of see it. There's little, looks like ripples in the wood, and it just gives it a nice look. I got that a little dirty, didn't I? Yeah, that's just a little bit of schmutz on there. There we go. This side actually looks even better. There you go. I really like how this wood looks. It's a half-stop slip joint, so like that. Wants to stay closed. Alignment is pretty good. It's not exactly in the middle, but it's pretty close to in the middle. We've got a lanyard pin, and all of these have this lanyard tied on. So this is a leather, it's leather that's been shredded, and then a bunch of glue's been put in it, and it's been turned into this sort of cordage. So I'm not terribly fond of it. I did try to pull it apart a little bit here, just using my nails, so nothing harder than, you know, natural material. And yeah, I'm not too fond of this. You get a little brass bead. I think it's probably brass, maybe it's bronze, that comes with it. So it's not that bad. They've double knotted it, and that's what you get. Of course, you could tie on any lanyard that you want. We've got the traditional back spring. It's done very well. The back spring and the liners and the wood all meets at the same level. So it's a nice smooth finish across the spine of the handle, which I quite like. The belly of the handle, these edges in the inside have just been slightly chamfered, so slightly softened, which I really like. I hate it when I put my hand across. If I push down and push across, you know, sometimes in your grip, you're just holding hard. I hate it when those little edges on the inside on a lot of slip joints sort of cut up your hand. Not literally cuts, but, you know, it's just a hot spot. So I really like what they did there. You can see the stop pin inside right there. That stop pin, it touches the tang of the blade here. So when you close the knife, the cutting edge does not hit the back. Old school slip joints had the blade, you know, touching the back, and that's not very good. We've got your T8 screws holding it together. I've not taken this thing apart yet. I'll try to do that later on in the video. The blade shape that we have here, I'm going to call this a leaf shape. Although we've got this thumb riser section cut out, and you know, it's sort of like a spear point leaf shape tip. Full flat grind, a nice chamfer up here going along, and that chamfer goes right between that hole. You know, this sort of odd kind of shape for that hole, which I like it. It looks more natural. So it's just sort of an elongated, stretched glob kind of hole. Looks good. We've got a sharpener's choil here that's done very well. It's big enough to become effective, and you know, not so big that it becomes a problem. So that's the general shape of everything. Let's go right now over all of the sizes and dimensions. First off, you know, those of you who are wondering how big is it compared to an Ontario Rat 1? Well, there we go. Yeah, it's a big knife. It's quite a bit larger than my Rat 1. Whoops, zoom back this way. There we go. Let's go over weight. 73 grams, 2.55 ounces. Not bad. Sharpness from the factory, 110. So that's a little bit better than average. The cutting edge length. What you complaining about, buddy? Oh, he's itching behind his ear. Are you okay, buddy? Cutting edge length, 68.4 millimeters, 2.69 inches. Blade length, tip to the wood, 70.3 millimeters, 2.77 inches. The thickness of the blade, 3.49 millimeters, which is 0.137, so over 1/8 of an inch. The blade depth, widest point's right there, 23.9 millimeters, 0.941 of an inch. How thick is it behind the grind? Well, it was 0.37 millimeters. That's 14.5 thousandths of an inch. So nice and thin, good for cutting all kinds of things. The grind angles. On this side, it started at 18.5 and went to 21.4. The average of that is on the screen. On this side, it started at 19.7 and went to 18.4. So about 3 degrees variability along the length. So that's not great, but you know, the average is actually worse than that. So it's not that bad. And Bandit wants to go outside, so let's let him out. Outside, nice. Yeah, thank you. He gets tired of listening to me talk without paying attention to him directly. The handle length, 96.1 millimeters, 3.78 inches. The grip area, I sort of try to measure at the top of that radius here, so the grip would be on the inside of that. It's about 8¼ centimeters, about 3¼ inches. So it's not a tiny handle. I've got hands in the extra large range and they're comfortable grip. The thickness of the handle is 14.2 millimeters. That's 0.56 of an inch, but it's very well radiused, so it doesn't feel fat in the hand. It feels smaller than a 1/2 inch thick knife. If it was 1/2 inch flat, it would feel bigger than this. The handle depth at these ends, it's about the same. The widest point, 20.4 millimeters, 0.8 of an inch. When the knife is closed, it's widest right here, 30.8 millimeters, 1.21 of an inch. Total length of the knife from tip to tail, with the lanyard pulled up like that, 166.3 millimeters, 6.55 inches. So not bad at all. And I've already given you the prices. The performance. It's an okay knife. I really do recommend getting the S90V instead of the Damascus, unless you want a show knife. You know, if you want a show knife, go ahead and get the Damascus. I'm going to show you close-up pictures of the spine right now. I polished that like crazy using a strop with gunny juice on it. And if this is my strop, you know, I just pushed the spine on it and I just polished and polished and polished until all the dark surface came off, just to show you what it looks like. Pattern welded steel, when it's Damascus like this, those layers of steel, the way they get the color out, you've probably seen this, is they etch it. And that sort of creates a surface darker color on one of the types of steel. So when you can rub that off, that doesn't mean it's a fake pattern welded steel, like just with stuff printed on the top. Some people are saying, you know, they can polish it off and then it looks like to the human eye that it's all one color, and they go, hey, that's fake. Maybe not. If you take a look at the spine after you've polished it off and you take a super close-up picture, you can see all those little layers with a tiny little bit of waves in it and stuff. It still really is Damascus, even if you can rub off that surface color. Maybe I should make a separate video about that. Let me know down in the comments below. Those of you guys who watch this deep into videos, do you think I should make a video about that? Just that one separate idea. So the knife, I like it. It's a good classic shape. It's a classic build. It's a good knife if this is the kind of thing you're looking for. And, oh, I didn't take it apart yet. Here, let's do that. Might have to speed up some of this video. Oh, feels like this side wants to come out. Yeah, this side. It is free spinning in there, which is not the greatest, but you've got a T8 end on both ends, so you can put the knife into a little bit of a clamp and take it out. I don't like it when stuff like this is free spinning, but it's not the end of the world, because look at this. Just with one driver, I can take it all the way apart, and I've never taken this apart yet, so let's, come on, wait, take apart, come on, come apart, you can do that. Sometimes they're in there very tight. Just give it a slight pry. There we go. There we go. That's, with the way it snapped out loose, this is going to be no fun to put back together again. I don't like doing this. So what do we have? We've got a very thin phosphor bronze washer here. Ah, ooh, that wasn't smart. That cut into my thumb. That might bleed because I just sharpened that thing. And right there is, that's just some grease. So we've got a thin phosphor bronze washer, which I really like. It's a traditional slip joint knife. The end of this is sort of like a box with slightly rounded corners so that you can slip and have it stop on the half stop, and then you can slip and have it stop right there. 3 points of contact, the pivot pin hole, the back and the front, and that keeps it solid. There's no blade play or anything in there. Now you can see the stop pin right in there, and the other pin came out right here. So it's fairly well made. I'll take my still pictures and then I'll put it together and finish with my thoughts. The last time I took a slip joint apart, I said, I'm not doing that again. It's kind of like access locks. I just don't like putting them back together. Look at this. You can see it there. There's a big space right here. Even though it's tight on both ends, there's now a big space. There's a pin in here that didn't quite fit right, and I've spent a bunch of time. I've clamped it in my vise. I have one of these small tabletop vices with rubber pads so I don't scratch anything up. And it's just not working. So I'm going to have to take it all the way apart and find out what it is that's doing that. I'll let you know on the screen right now if I got it fixed. But for now, I want to just record the rest of this video. Okay, other than the fun of having a tricky time putting these back together, which is not a TwoSun problem, it's simply that's how slip joints can be. It's a decent knife. If you're looking for something like this, the price is not that bad at White Mountain Knives, and you can save that 10% with coupon code CCE. And it's a better price than you can find anywhere else. But I looked on AliExpress and around on the internet to see if anybody had these in stock, and I could not find them. I don't know for certain if TwoSun's going to make more, but the model numbers are fairly high. 246, and then the titanium one is 254. So they're not that terribly old models, and you can still find some models that are, double digits. So hopefully these will be back for people that want them. It's a decent knife. It looks good, feels good. It's a nice size. You can use your own lanyard if you want to, so I've taken that off to show you. It's a decent two-hand opening slip joint knife. If you want something like a gentleman's slip joint, there you go. It's a nice little knife. Good action, smooth. Everything's made the way it should be made in terms of tolerances, and a good knife. I was going to say something else, but now I forgot what I was going to say. I think that's it. Thank you so much for being my supporters on the channel. Those of you who have been giving through Patreon and through YouTube memberships, I very much appreciate your support. Thanks everyone for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Those things really do make a difference. And remember, cut towards your chum, not your thumb. Bye for now.